Ladies and gentlefish, today is a long overdue moment in my tenured history on YouTube. On July 30th, 2019, I released a video called Silent Hill 3 Unscripted Review, and I'll be the first to admit that it's not great. Most of the footage was recorded in 240p on a first-generation Core i3 integrated GPU, and the actual content of the video is a wildly incorrect approach to what otherwise would be a good conversation. I misassociated characters between games, I practically ignored the story side of things, and I missed a crucial boss fight item and made an entire segment 100 times more difficult, and my actual knowledge about Silent Hill as a series was far less than it is now. So we're here today to do the rational thing. I've been in a sort of self-reflection period over this last year, so I feel like it's appropriate to finally return to Silent Hill 3 and give it a fair chance. From everything I've heard, the PS2 version is the definitive way to play this game. So instead of using the PC port like I did last time, I'll take the advice I'm given. PCSX2 is pretty advanced these days, and provides a wide array of upscaling options at full speed. So I'm gonna play the game in 1080p at 60 FPS with a few extra texture filtering options, just so the footage itself looks better in the end. The game starts with some gigaspook imagery, followed by a quick introduction to the gameplay. Heather, our main character, wakes up in a dark carnival full of bloody bunnies, and she's menacingly brandishing and admiring a pocket knife. Sounds like the set of an Insane Clown Posse video. Aside from how comedically terrible the entire scene is, this first room is pretty ignorable. You run straight ahead through a door and into a circular area with some enemies. So we haven't even played the game for a couple of minutes yet, right? And I'm already frustrated. The player is supposed to die in this room to make progress, but apparently dying in this game is harder than it looks. It took a full 2 minutes for this enemy to kill me, and during most of it, I was standing completely still. After it attacked me a few times, I ran away, and then it failed to attack me a few more times just to drag this out longer than it needed to be. What this tells us is that these enemies are actually pointless. They're barely smart enough to be called enemies. Following that slow, boring death, Heather wakes up in a mall restaurant booth and she leaves. There's not really any explanation for why she was there at all. Immediately after leaving the restaurant, the super creepy detective starts tailing our stoic protagonist through the mall hallways. Heather calls her dad to let him know she'll be home late, and a creepy fedora detective walks up and shakes his head no at her for some reason. Then he follows her around a little bit more while they exchange what can only be described as really bad dialogue.
Heather, I need to speak with you. My name is Douglas Carter. I'm a detective.
A detective? Really? Well, nice talking to you.
It's painfully bad. The English voice actors sound like they've never spoken to another human before. Heather makes a slick beeline for the nearest bathroom and proceeds to crawl out a window to get away from the detective. On the other side of the alleyway is a set of hallways full of locked doors. Like, a lot of locked doors. Apparently crawling through the window was like a window to Silent Hill dimension or something, because the rest of the mall on this side is abandoned. Heather conveniently finds a gun laying in the middle of a clothing department floor, and then she proceeds to waste every bullet in the gun on one enemy in a blind panic. I need to break for a second and talk about this game's controls. Me personally, I love tank controls. Some games do it really well, like Resident Evil 1 Remake or The Medium, but this game isn't one of those games, and the culprit is the camera. Silent Hill 3 has the most unintuitive camera controls in history. Super Mario 64, a game that came out 7 years earlier, managed to pull off better camera controls without having a second analog stick. There is no excuse for this, even at the time it came out. You have to hold L1 to center the camera behind you, and when you do that, you may hit a camera change trigger that totally fucks it up again. To make it worse, the camera doesn't just immediately center behind the player, which would be convenient. Instead, it has to do this slow wraparound thing that will cancel itself if you let go too soon, or will get stuck on walls depending on where you're standing. That's not difficult gameplay, that's just bad design. My entire time spent in this introduction hallway section was run past some enemies, check every single locked door, pick up tongs to pick up a key, pick up a hanger to drag down a ladder, Google the solution to the Shakespeare puzzle because honestly I just don't have the patience to do the math that it requires. And then you meet Claudia, who tells you that God did some stuff and you are very important, and then she disappears and you go right back to being hella bored. Listen, I'm only 20 minutes into the game. I've made pretty good progress in that short amount of time, but it still feels like literally nothing is happening. I haven't even been given any motivation. Enemies are a sad joke used to fill hallway space. The plot so far is non-existent. The characters have all been horribly acted and none of them have said a single bit of meaningful dialogue. All of the hallways are gray and the hallways that aren't gray are brown. The stuff that's supposed to be scary is just hilariously bad, and I have no clue what people are talking about when they talk about how good the sound design is. To my ears, it's a lot of random noise, with sporadic moments of happy music and a lot of grinding and squishing sounds. feels like a good time to bring up the worst mechanic across the entire Silent Hill series, the radio. In pretty much every Silent Hill game, the radio will go batshit crazy when you enter the radius of an enemy. All it does is play white noise. It's a horribly annoying sound that makes just walking around feel frustrating. It's a pointless item, and it only exists to make the experience more annoying. Back on topic, I said I would give this game a fair chance, and god damn it, I'm trying. I'm trying to buckle down and push forward. I made my way into the hallways of the Nightmare Mall, hoping that a higher abundance of enemies would provide a somewhat more challenging gameplay experience. It didn't. I spent the next 10 minutes running around, picking up items and spamming U's on every single door I saw because for some reason there are a metric fuck ton of doors in this place. I found a nut, some detergent, I took a key out of a dog on a plate, and then I gave up. I can hear it already. The first thing anybody who enjoys this game is going to tell me is, well, it gets better if you get to this certain point, or you're just purposely negative because you want to have a hot take. But honestly, I don't really care. Going back and trying to play it again is 30 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. I didn't know that it was physically possible to get as bored as I did in such a short amount of time. I had more fun with Final Fantasy 15. I have a whole new appreciation for Zenfar, because even though it wasn't an amazing experience, I still had fun with it. I could still walk away from that feeling like I got a good enough laugh and I wasn't wasting my time. This isn't that same situation. I don't need to waste more of my time to figure out that this game just isn't for me. So with all of that said, I give Silent Hill 3 a personal rating of 4 out of 10. Look, I understand that many people have nostalgia for this game, and that it's remembered fondly for what it is. But to me, what it is just doesn't work. We live in a world where games like Fatal Frame 2 were released at the same time and didn't nearly attain the same gargantuan cultural impact. Silent Hill 3 is boring, poorly written, and controls like a brain-damaged Resident Evil. I can't compliment the sounds for being random as fuck, and I can't compliment the visuals for being repetitive and boring. The most I can do is chuckle at the fact that there's a Silent Hill 2 poster in the hallway. They were like, hey guys, look, you remember this good game we made once? I've played through it once, and now that my memory has been thoroughly refreshed, I can go the rest of my life without ever playing this again. Shit, I probably would have been content if the voice acting was hilariously bad. But it wasn't. It was just bad. Thank you, and have a nice day.